Welcome back everyone to episode 5 of Let's Play Escape Velocity Nova. So in this episode I really plan to try to get some of the more interesting mission storyline stuff going on. We did get, I probably have to turn this volume down, but we did get the Sigma shipyards going, which is nice. And we see that, and they don't even have a mission for us right now, but that's fine. So what we're going to do is start hitting the bars, and okay, here we go. You are sitting in the bar listening to the abysmal music blaring from a nearby jukebot, and sipping your latest brew when you notice a strangely dressed man walking toward you. Hey dude, you must be Tortuga Power. You mind if I call you Turtle? Without asking, he sits down at your table and looks about. You are wondering what this is all about when he suddenly turns back to you saying, "Man, I have no idea how you people ever do business in places like this. I mean, look at the types here. They don't even have any dress sense, man. Kinda makes you feel sorry for them." You look at the bizarre collection of bright colors, odd cuts, and stupid fabric that make up what this individual calls clothing, and raise your eyebrow. "Yeah, right man, sorry," the man shrugs. "I should get down to the real deal. My name is Sly Styles, rock and roll entrepreneur, and manager of the hottest band in the Federation space. Debris Field. We have a major tour on, but the guy who was handling our security has gone and gotten himself splattered by pirates. Now, we only have 2 shows left on the tour, but the hardest part is that they're at the extremes of Federation-controlled space. We could lose huge amounts of flash if we have to pull out." He notices the bemused look on your face and pauses. "Flash?" you ask him. "Yeah, you know, scrunner, flash, moolah, credits." You nod your understanding, saying, "So you want me to handle your security for the rest of the tour?" "Yeah, rock on, man. Our old security dude said you were on the sharp end of the electrotrancer, and I see he was right. That's exactly what we want you to do. It's only 2 more gigs and then easy days. We'll pay you $50,000 per gig. For that, we need to get to the shows on time, have somewhere to stow all of the gear, the band, myself, and the other stuff. Our spaceys are already there setting up the major gear, so all you need to worry about are the instruments and stuff. What do you say?" Well, I think this is an easy way to make money, and it could be a pretty entertaining story in the end, we'll find. You nod, sticking out your hand. "Booyah!" Styles yells, grabbing your hand and pumping it up and down at a rate of knots. "I should take you to meet the rest of the guys and start getting our stuff together." You leave the bar and head across the plush-looking hotel. Style breezes through a throng of teenage girls standing around on the pavement, slipping between them with practiced ease. "You'll get used to this sort of thing quick enough. Happens everywhere we go." Once inside, you head to the elevator, which goes all the way to the top floor. Upon walking out, you see the most filthy collection of individuals sitting around the worst-kept hotel room in history. All around you are empty bottles, cans, food trays, and overflowing ashtrays. The smell makes you gag. Styles doesn't seem to notice and calls you over to meet the band. Some dirty guys stand up, and you cannot believe that they are even a band, let alone successful. Styles introduces you, and you try to avoid throwing up at the smell. You make your excuses, saying that you had better go and get the ship prepped, asking Styles where the next show is. "It's in the Full Noise Megadome on Cornwall, in the South Manchester system, bro." Sorry, I added that. "We'll meet you down at the ship tomorrow." You nod your agreement before heading for the door. You hear the band begin to play as you walk to the lift, and hear the same abysmal crud that was playing in the bar. You don't feel too good, knowing that you'll have to listen to this for a while. I love the story writing. Just the token admission that I love the story. Every episode must have that. So good. Now I think we're set. Yeah, we're escorting the rock band, but really they're on board, so we don't have to worry about a different ship. And we're not going that far, just to South Manchester. But I think, if I recall correctly, we might be in for a little bit of fun. I think we're trying to wait to see if anybody catches us. No, maybe it's on the second gig. So let's see what happens if we go one more. Maybe here is where they get jumped. Okay, we need Cornwall, not Goliath. Well, that was simple. You stand around the Debris Field concert, watching hordes of teenage girls scream at them. The concert is to promote the band's new album, Groove Till You Vomit, and you don't think that you would have to groove too long before you'd bring up your lunch. The concert goes on without a hitch, but afterwards, as you wait for the band to come back to the ship, you see a number of unsavory types hanging around. You get the impression that they are waiting for the band to board the ship, and then tell their friends aloft which ship was carrying the band. You feel like telling them that if they want to kill them, you won't interfere, just as long as the thugs can guarantee that there won't be a memorial album, but a job is a job. You watch as the thugs disappear, but you get the feeling that you will have some rumbles on your way to the next gig on the planet of Syracuse in the Galvin system. Alright, so let's recharge and head on out. We know that we're going to have a little bit of problems. There it is. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Not escape, but R. So these are marauders. What I think I want to do is actually fight these guys, because it will give us some cred, and it can. Yeah, I think we can easily take these guys. Yeah, no problems there. Okay, now we have a Pegasus. Let's go after this guy too. I would like to start making some diplomacy, some... Oh yeah, we took care of those guys, no problem. So that's good. We'll get the Marauders. The Marauders are going to help our reputation, I think, by killing them. And we're also gaining combat strength, or combat reputation. Some of the missions are limited to a specific combat strength. You have to kill basically a certain number of ships to get the combat rating up before you can take those gigs. Gigs, because now we're a band, of course. Before you can take those jobs. Basically, some of the storyline is... Whoop, is this another Marauder? No, I think it was Aurora. Let's see. I think once you eliminate the big group of Marauders, they don't bother you anymore. Oh, we're one jump away, but we need fuel, so I'll just let this thing burn. Yeah, we can see that there's nobody following us. There it is, and let's get on. Alright, so mission accomplished, and now this should be I think this is a pretty funny conclusion. Despite the possibility of death, you are still amazed that the entire battle went off to the dulcet tones of Debris Field chanting, "Rock on!" and "Fire it up!" In between their noise, you managed to fend off the attackers and make it to Syracuse. Truth be told, you wouldn't care if the band had been killed, but the money's good, and now you just have to watch the show and get paid. You are standing at the front of the stage, looking for the would-be unsavory types, and seeing them everywhere, since none of the fans seem to have watched in a decade, when you noticed a commotion on stage. The lead singer appears to be on fire, as smoke and steam pours out of his joints and his mouth. Suddenly, it occurs to you that he's a robot, and he isn't seeing the garbage coming from the speakers at all. The crowd notices too, and you see a number of techs and spaceys rush on stage to haul the malfunctioning unit away. Next minute, Sly Styles appears to the hoots and jeers of his disgruntled audience. He tries to calm things down, but the situation is well out of hand. You quickly vault onto the stage, grab Styles and hustle him off amid a barrage of empty cups and cans. A riot ensues. After the federal troops have calmed and everything down, you make your way back to your ship. You have your money, but it seems that Styles is on his way to prison for false advertising and fraud. The feds let you go, considering that you only joined this motley crew recently, and they kindly let you keep your pay. You conclude that if this is show business, you are better off avoiding it. Very good, so that's a nice little fun plotline, more exposure to the good writing, and I think let's just make one jump over to Altair and see what kind of... We might even think about getting a new ship soon, but... Okay, because we're up to almost a million credits. There's a lot of... The next ship I want is definitely the Starbridge, this very one right here. Except for I want the modded Starbridge. So it looks like this is Haven? No, Altia. Okay, so let's see what kind of missions we have here. Sigma Shipyards Delivery. This is probably worth doing, but you know what? I'm going to... Oh, this one's very close, so let's accept this, because it's just from Nesri Primus to Sol. And I do want to keep promoting relationships with Sigma Shipyards. I think they have good relationships with everyone. Okay. And we did kill a lot of Marauders. I hope that helped our reputation a bit. Let's see. We're attacked by the Polaris still. That's normal. They are, as you can see, that single fighter took a third of my shields off. It's incredible. But we don't have access to jump gates yet, and what I want is to ride the Sigma Shipyards storyline to the end, which will give us access to these jump gates, which are obviously fantastic. Okay, it is New Babylon, so that's here. They load the equipment, and is there anything else we want to take? Nah, probably not. 50,000 is something, but yeah, money's not a concern as much for us as just advancing some plot lines now. Okay, so let's go to Earth. As you pilot your way into one of the countless docking bays in Sigma Shipyards area of the Kane Band, you once again take a moment to glance over the enormous shipyards at their disposal. As soon as you land, dock workers swarm all over your vessel, and in no time they have unloaded your cargo. Their supervisor informs you, when his people are finished, that 20,000 credits has been transferred into your account before moving on to the next ship. Very good, so let's go to the bar and see what we have in here. Okay, here we go. You have barely entered the bar when you are knocked backwards by the flying body of one of the bar's patrons. The burly individual knocks you to the ground, and you stand to give the offensive ruffian a piece of your mind, if not a piece of your boot. So when you do that, and as you do that, you notice that the man was sent flying your way by a red-bearded giant fighting on the far side of the bar. So this is the Wild Geese plotline. Fantastic. As you watch, a number of men attack him, only to be beaten back by his prodigious strength. A man comes at him from behind, smashing a bar stool over his head. He staggers and begins to stumble. His sneaky attacker begins to draw a knife, and you feel as if you should help the man before he is stabbed in the back, in a cowardly attack. You quickly jump into action, smashing your fist into the other man's face. He falls backward as your fist comes away stained with blood. The giant shakes his head, and with a roar launches himself at the remaining ruffians. As you watch, the fight ends in a quick and brutal flurry of blows. In a matter of seconds, the floor is strewn with unconscious bodies. The man turns to you and offers his huge hand. "Thanks for your help," he says in a thick brogue. "Can I get you a drink?" This accent is not going to be good, but we'll just roll with it. Yeah, it was like breaking in and out of many different accents at once, but hey. You nod your assent, and he turns to a dazed-looking barman and orders 2 drinks. You make a mental note not to drink in dockside bars anymore, and turn your attention to the man beside you. He stands about 6.5 feet tall and looks as if he could pull apart leviathans with his bare hands. He has a shock of bright red colored hair and very pale skin. He turns to you and hands you a huge drink, as black as pitch and as thick as fresh cream. He raises his glass to you in a silent salute and takes a long pull on his drink. You follow suit and are surprised by the thick, bitter taste that fills your mouth. It is at once revolting and enticing, and you don't know quite what to make of it. You guess that you should be polite and finish it, but you don't know if you'll be able to. Many hours later... Wow, long one. You and your new friend, Micheline Hughes, stagger from the bar. The manager slams the door behind you and locks it quickly, and you get the distinct impression that he was not happy that the 2 loudest patrons were also the last to leave. You head back towards the docks, when Micheline curses loudly. You follow his gaze as best you can and see a heavily modified Thunderhead being locked down by the port authorities. Micheline shouts abuses at them in a strange tongue, but it makes no difference. Before they leave, they give him a notice to the effect that he had outstanding storage debts, and that his ship was impounded until he pays them back. "Ah, but that would be the life of a wild rover," he sighs wistfully, waving an unsteady hand at his lock ship. "I spent all me money on whiskies and beer, and now I've none to get me ship out of hock." He slumps down next to the ship and puts his head in his hand. Your heart goes out to him, and you ask if there's any way you can help him. He explains that he has to be in New Ireland in the Tuatha system before the end of the month so he can be the best man in his cousin's nuptials. He says that if you can give him a lift, you can stay for the wedding and the party after. Apparently one is very serious, and the other involves a white dress. You have had far too many pints to figure out which is which. Do you give him a lift? Well, of course. This is a great side storyline. Note that this one doesn't interfere with your ability to do the other plot lines, so it's one of the best ones you can do. You wake in the morning with a heavy head, and there is far too much light in the cabin. The instruments are too bright, and you cannot remember ever feeling quite so awful. Micheline doesn't appear to be much better, but takes a very philosophical view of your predicament. "Just remember, you can only start to feel better when you feel this bad at the beginning," he tells you with grim humor. Somehow, it does make sense in a bizarre way. So off we go, and so begins the Wild Geese mission line. Now, unfortunately, there's two storylines. I think this is the way, yeah. And one of them, well, let's just hope we don't get... One of them is sad, and I don't want us to get the sad one. So, this is a lot of reading. I mean, it's like we are barely going to be able to get through this. Maybe we can. Okay, let me dock here. The wedding turns out to be a very loud and jolly affair. The rites were solemn and beautifully written, and the sentiments of love and eternity spent together brings a tear to your eye. Micheline's cousin, Riley Shaskeen, is so happy that you have delivered his errant cousin that he places you at the place of honor at the reception, between his unmarried and beautiful sister, Sinead, and his best friend and brother, Sean Shaskeen. The night seems endless and is full of drink and song, fights and dancing. Men vie for the attention of the ladies, who treat them with a faintly mocking humor. Their tongues move like whips, and you find your sides hurting from laughing at their banter. Micheline tries to teach you old drinking songs, and Sinead tries to teach you to dance. In what seems to be only a few short hours, the night is over, and you stagger away to Micheline's place to pass into a blissful sleep full of dreams of quick-witted women and quicker-fisted men. Morning finds you in a small bed in the home of Micheline. You see him enter the room with a huge plate of steaming food, which makes your fragile stomach perform a couple of small flips. He thrusts it under your nose and insists that you eat. As you weakly push the food down your gullet, Micheline tells you that all the young men of the town must go on to the bride's family home and collect her dowry, so they can deliver it to the newlyweds, and you have been invited to help. In fact, he says through a mouthful of his own breakfast, I've been told not to show up unless I have you in tow. You readily agree and spend another very enjoyable day in the company of these strange and hospitable folk. Okay, great. So I think that's that plot line, but we can continue it just by going to the bar. However, this episode is getting a little bit long. So what I'll do is, well, I guess we'll read this and call it to a close after the end of the reading. Oh boy, and another long bit of plot development. Here we go. You and Micheline are sitting in the bar and are considering how easy it would be to stay here and drink for the rest of your life. You notice that Micheline has not been to work a single day you have been here. So far, all he has done is swan about and drink in pubs. You ask him why he doesn't seem to have to pay for anything, and he looks at you in surprise. Why, don't you know who we are here in New Ireland? He answers, slightly surprised. We're the Wild Geese, the best mercenary organization in the universe. We fight for the best pay and best causes, and we never lose. I'm one of these geese, so I am more responsible for the income of New Ireland than many others here. So tradition has it that I don't pay for grog or food, nor lodging either. You see, there is a good chance that I will die in the service of New Ireland economy, so I don't pay for taxes or services. I'll cover any debt when I die. I apologize for my accent, but hey, you can just pretend, right? This is how the Irish sound in the future. You ask him further about the geese, and you realize that most of the famous battles of the past have had the geeses somewhere in the field. They have a long tradition of being the savior of their employers' troops, and when the day is all but lost, and most of the men are ready to break, the wild geese seem to find a special reserve and push on, often winning the day single-handedly. Or at least that is the way that Micheline tells it. By the time he has finished his explanations, many of the other patrons have begun telling their stories. They all involve fighting, women, and lots of drinking. By the time you leave the bar, you have a deep wish that you'd had the fortune to be born on New Ireland, or the sole homeland Ireland itself. At least then you could lay claim to the rich tradition of warriors and heroes. You tell Micheline, who laughs until his face hurts. Musha, he waggles his finger at you. It's talk like that that'll cause the folks to not let you leave. If you stay long enough, you'll look and think and sound so much like us that a stranger won't know the difference. But unfortunately, I have to get back to Seoul and collect my ship. Can you take me back? And of course we will. You tell Micheline that you would be happy to take him back. Next day, you head back to Seoul. So good. Unfortunately, I'm not sure which plotline we're going to have here. I hope it's the good one, but I'm going to call this episode to a close, so thanks for watching. And in the next one, we begin our revenge against the pirates. And I'll leave that as a little cliffhanger. So until then, take care.